Hey guys, this is Samantico here with a quick tutorial on how to automate the capture of our results from our simulations using macros. This video was inspired by another video from rwilson955 and I'm showing it here on screen, his post. And I think it was a very neat thing he did where he did the same thing we're going to do in this video, but he used formulas and tables to get to that result. It was actually a very ingenious way of doing this, and I'd suggest you guys go and search his post and see his video. It's quite interesting. What we're going to try and do here is we're going to use macros to do the same thing. I wanted to do this video because I think macros are a very powerful tool that some people sometimes shy away from using because it involves code and it might seem daunting to some people at first, but it's actually pretty simple if you use the macro recording tool that's embedded in Excel. So we'll use that to build our macro. Okay, so let's start doing that. So what I have here is I have a sheet, and in the first sheet I have the table with the simulations, and this will look very similar to what was in the lesson, and you should be able to build this yourself just by following the lesson. Just one disclaimer, I'm using round instead of int to create the demand, and that will give us a slightly different value from what's on the video, but it shouldn't matter in terms of the macro, which is what I want to show you. In the second sheet I have a sheet to capture the results, and this is the column where I'm going to be putting them, column B, and here I have a count of how many runs are there, mean, standard deviation, and then a C statistic and a p-value of the data that's going to get populated in this column. Alright, so let's start with the macro. So first thing you're going to want to do is you want to go to the developer tab on top, and here to the left side there's a button that says record macro. So we're going to click that button and we're going to name our macro. I'm going to name this simulations. I'm going to give it a shortcut key. I'm going to use Ctrl+w for this one. So this will be our trigger. So anytime we hit Ctrl key and W, this will trigger our macro. So you'll want to remember that. Alright, so from this point on, everything we do in Excel is being recorded by the recorder, and it's going to turn everything that we do into code. So what we want to do is we want to follow the steps that we want to replicate to capture our code. So what we want to do is we want to click on the sheet that has our model results. We want to click on the cell that has our result, and I'm going to copy it. So I just hit Ctrl copy, and we want to go to the sheet that has our run results. I'm going to click one cell on top of the one where I want the result to go, and you'll see why in a little bit. I'll go to home and do a paste special values. So I'll do paste and just the value. I don't just do a paste because if I do a paste it carries the formula with it, so I just wanted to write the number and that's it. And then last I'm going to right click on the cell and I'm going to push it down one. So I'm going to do insert and shift cell down. Okay, and there we go. Those are actually all the steps that we need, so we can actually stop the recorder now. So we actually have everything we need for our macro, and if you want to do it manually, we could actually just stop here. I'm going to show you the macro real quick. So if you go to the developer tab again, and you hit on the macros button, there's our macro, the one we just recorded. If you go to edit, here's what was recorded. So if you can see, it's it's very easy to read this code. It's just exactly what we did a second ago. So it goes to the sheet with the model. It selects cell F2. It copies it. It then goes to the sheet with the run results. Clicks on cell B1. Does a paste special of the values. And then does an insert and shifts it down. And that's our entire code. So if we wanted to do this manually, I'll show you. Every time I hit Ctrl+w, it will insert a new value from our simulation. So if I just wanted to do this 40 times, I could just leave Ctrl+w pressed until my count reaches 40, and I'll have my 40 simulations. If you want to be a little bit lazier than that, what you can do is you can create a loop. And for this, you will have to write a little bit of code. The macro recorder will not record loops for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a loop real quick to have our macro run 40 times. So, and this is me creating a loop of 1 to 40. So I'm telling the macro that I want this loop to run 40 times. And I'm going to set an initial value for I of 1. And then at the end of the code, I'm going to say next I. So I'm telling the code that when it finishes, when it gets to that point, raise I by 1 and then run the code again. So it will run 40 times. Okay? I'm just going to save this real quick and just close my macro. And now see what happens when I hit Ctrl+W. The macro runs 40 times and it populates the results here with 40. And that's it. You have a macro that's working and it's recording your simulations. So feel free to play with the code in the macro. I mean, you can change this 40 to 1,000 if you want to run 1,000 simulations. I don't do it now because it would take a while. You can also embed objects and buttons if you want to hit a button instead of hitting Ctrl+W to trigger your macro. Many things that you can do with macros, but it's a very powerful tool. Not hard at all to use if you can use the recorder and you know what you want. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and please post any comments or questions you may have in the forum, and Merry Christmas to all you guys.